Oh my. Oh my goodness. 3 weeks away. 3 weeks from WrestleMania. This is what they give us. This is what they give us. You know, when you get a good SmackDown, every now and then, it's more like a comet. You see like a passing meteor in the sky. That's kind of what a good SmackDown is. And when you get a good SmackDown, that's great. When you get a bad SmackDown, at 3 hours, it is insufferable. I feel like I'd have more fun waiting in line at TSA for 3 hours than I would watching some of these SmackDown shows. We had a brutal first hour, and actually a little more than that, a little over an hour to open the show tonight. And I am watching this going, it can't possibly get any worse. I mean, the show can only get better from here, right? It's only uphill from here. We still don't know what Randy Orton's going to be doing when it comes to the main event with Matt Cardona. Cody Rhodes is probably going to be back at the end of the show. We had a big U.S. title match coming up. And that U.S. Championship match tonight between Sami Zayn and Carmelo Hayes, that was great. So the show did get better because of that one match. And they went out there and they tore it up. They had a great outing. They've worked together before, so we know what those two men can do in the ring together. And in fact, in that match, I may as well mention it now, we have a brand new United States champion. And there are two ways to look at this. On the one hand, they have been telling a story with Sami Zayn. This is the next kind of step in the story. Sami's match for WrestleMania now is solidified. And we'll talk about Carmelo Hayes and whether or not he may or may not be involved in that. So, because I'm very torn on the outcome of that match, but I can't hate on that match. But I can honestly say that outside of that U.S. title match, SmackDown was a shit show tonight. I mean, there's just really no other way to put it. SmackDown was a shit show tonight with the absolute lamest, longest, and in many ways heatless pull-apart brawls that you will ever see. Certainly the longest one that I have seen in ages. That show-closing brawl with Randy Orton and Cody Rhodes. I put in the title of the video here. It took 5 business days. It just kept going and going and going. And the fans weren't even there were uncomfortable periods of just silence as the two men in one of the WrestleMania main events are out there acting as if they hate each other's guts and they're trying to get at each other. And it's the same trope we see with WWE pull-apart brawls all the time. And I think because the formula never changes, when you get one like this that isn't that good at all, it really stands out more. Where you have the general manager come out and he's waving at all of these referees and all of these producers and all of these security guards, and they're all coming out, and you've got 10, 15 fucking people out there, and they are unable to maintain law and order. And they're getting thrown around, and they're pulled apart in each corner of the ring. Somebody breaks free. They jump onto the other person. Then they get separated again. Then the other person breaks free. And then they jump on them in the corner, right? They have their formula all the time. They all look the same. This was different in that people didn't really seem to care. And the other thing also is I'm watching this, and Cody Rhodes was bloodied up by this man. He was betrayed and bloodied by his brother, okay? By one of his best friends in the business. Left for dead a couple of weeks ago on SmackDown. This was the first time that we have seen Cody Rhodes back on this show since that heinous attack. And he comes out, and I mean, honestly, I don't know what was going on here. He comes out there with about as much intensity as a corpse. And they're just it's like lifeless. They're just throwing shots at each other and they're pulling them away. There's just no real urgency there. There's no sense of okay, they're trying to convince us that they want to get at each other in the worst way. They're just going through the motions. That's all I could think as I'm watching this. They're just going through the motions. And honestly, I will say, watching that segment, it felt like maybe they came up short on time. And they had to stretch things because, oh shit, we came up short. We got to keep this going for a little bit longer before Jelly Roll finally came out. Like they were stalling for time almost just to get to the top of the hour. That's what it felt like to me. Although I don't know, usually they time these shows out perfectly. I don't know if something ran short I'm trying to come up with a decent explanation for why this was so bad. But Jelly Roll comes out, and he's trying to keep the peace because he loves Cody Rhodes, and he loves Randy Orton, right? Randy's his boy. And you could see where this was going. And Randy Orton again breaks free, and he drops Jelly Roll with an RKO. And as soon as he drops Jelly Roll with an RKO, the crowd breaks out into chants of Randy, Randy, Randy. And I just sat here laughing. And I don't even think, not that I don't think, I know that was not WWE's intent. WWE is not booking this main event, WrestleMania main event, no less, feud between Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton with the idea that they're trying to make it funny. But I thought this shit was fucking hilarious. In the worst possible way, because it's not meant to be hilarious, but it is hilarious because these crowds do not want to boo Randy Orton. And so they tried something tonight because Jelly Roll, the fans like Jelly Roll. Jelly Roll had a match on this show. Oh, if you were worried about getting enough jelly in your diet, you got a lot of jelly in your diet tonight, between tonight and last week. He had a match on the show against Kit Wilson. We'll talk about that. But the fans like Jelly Roll. It's not like when he comes out, they boo him, get the fuck out of here. But it didn't matter. He gets dropped with an RKO. They're trying to get heat on Randy Orton, and it blows up in their fucking face. And I just laugh. And I just like, this is great. This is very entertaining. I am sports entertained. I just don't think I'm sports entertained in the way that they intend for me to be entertained watching this. This show is a disaster. This show is a disaster in so many different ways. We got 2 matches made for WrestleMania that are now official. We know Drew McIntyre and Jacob Fatu are having an unsanctioned match. I know there were rumors of Hell in a Cell, which is, what I had suggested. Maybe this may be going in that direction. Last week I said that, and that would have made sense. But they're having an unsanctioned match, no disqualification, no count out. Referee is only there to count the winning fall or submission, whatever it may be. The other match that is official also is Sami Zayn, the brand new United States champion, is going to be defending his title against Trick Williams. And I am hoping that there is another name. There's still time. There's 3 weeks left. That there is another name that gets added to that match. Because if not, boy, what a slap in his face is all I have to say about that. But there is still time to add that third person to that match. So we did. It was a newsworthy show in that we had 2 matches made official for WrestleMania. The rest of this show, it is a collection of boring, heatless matches. It is incredible as I sit here watching this show, whether it's the women's tag team match, whether it's, even some of the, I mentioned the Jelly Roll Kit Wilson thing. Obviously, that's leading to some kind of Jelly Roll match with Miz, I guess, or WrestleMania. But whether it's that, whether we saw Tiffany and Giulia. I'm watching Tiffany Stratton and Giulia out there, and they didn't have a bad match. But the crowd didn't care. They could not possibly have cared any less about what they were watching. It's sad to watch. Giulia's out there. She gets no reactions. Tiffany's out there. And we know the fans like Tiffany, but Tiffany is a terrible babyface. She's miscast as a babyface. So you take those 2 things, you put them together, people don't care. And I'm thinking this WrestleMania is 3 weeks away. Segment after segment after segment. Oh, we got a good one. Okay, segment after segment after segment. Heatless. Nobody cares. What are we doing? This is WrestleMania? Does this feel like WrestleMania season? It did when Obafemi came out on Raw last week to confront Brock Lesnar. Boy, that felt like WrestleMania, right? There have been segments here and there. That first Roman Reigns and CM Punk segment right after the Royal Rumble, that felt like WrestleMania. When Randy Orton beat the shit out of Cody Rhodes 2 weeks ago and bloodied him up, that felt like WrestleMania. But everything else that they have done so far, virtually everything. We could talk about Rhea Ripley and Jade Cargill tonight as well. And it's like, this is WrestleMania? This is terrible. Nobody seems to care. Where's the life? Where's the energy on the show? I don't understand. 3 hours of television to fill, and the only redeeming segment on the entire show is Sami Zayn and Carmelo Hayes, and they're out there busting their ass for the United States Championship. Nothing else even feels all that important. Randy Orton's still on the phone talking to himself. Probably that's where that's going. And there's really not a whole lot else to speak of that really gets you truly excited for WrestleMania. And that's sad. You know, SmackDown is hard enough to sit through at 3 hours when you have a bad week or an off week. There seem to be more off weeks than on weeks, but it's even worse now because this should be the most exciting period of the entire year for the WWE product. Everything is building to these 2 nights that are coming up in Las Vegas next month. And the way, by the way, that I felt about Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton 2 weeks ago, when Randy bloodied him up and all that, and then we had that one really off night with CM Punk and Roman Reigns, and I'm like, man, it's amazing how it feels like the excitement level has flipped for these 2 main events. Now I feel like it's flipped back the other way. We'll see at the end of next week if it flips back. But yeah, I mean, SmackDown's just a shit show right now. I don't really know what else to tell you. This show sucks. I hate to say it. I take no pleasure in saying that. But that show that we saw tonight, that show sucked. And this close to WrestleMania, you got to do a better job than that. It's unbelievable. It really is. This is your Friday Night SmackDown review. It is March 27th, 2026. Yes, shittiest Brawl ever. Yes. Yes, it was. I mean, for 2 stars of their caliber heading into a big match like that, yes, it was. I think they were trying to recreate some of the great pull-apart brawls that we've seen. I saw somebody before mention to me, Cena and Lesnar from 2012. Yeah, that's not what this was. I don't know what they were trying to recreate, but whatever they were attempting to do there, it did not work. Anyway, I will say thank you. One thing to get excited for. We hit 91,000 subscribers, so I want to say thank you. Give you guys a nice cheer. Appreciate the support. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. Super chats are open. We have a bonus goal going on. If you check out the goal at the top of the live chat, that's for a bonus round of Be the Booker, assuming we get to the main goal, which we will find out right now as we spin the wheel. Hopefully, we will hit the likes goal. Like, what the fuck? Hey, Mandu.
He's sticking his tongue. WAZZZAP. Like, what the fuck?
I'm big enough to collab with iShowSpeed.
Nick Wayne's mom has got it going on.
Maybe he'll sing to Nick Wayne's mom with me. We'll do like a ballad. How about that?
Nick Wayne, can't you see? Go away and leave me be.
Solomonster and iShowSpeed. Can you imagine?
I'm in love with Nick Wayne's mom.
Nick Wayne's mom has got it going on. Nick Wayne's mom has gotta love this song. I believe that she would like that song if she ever heard that song. Bobby's World, thank you. Thank you for singing to Nick Wayne's mom. It's always good to hear that song. But let's spin the wheel to find out how many likes we need for Be the Booker. Ooh, okay, so we're a little ambitious tonight. 700 likes is the goal. We are at 237. We got some work to do. Oh boy, we got some work to do. Now, of course, we can actually bypass this. You know what the kind of the Venom Kitetsu, thank you. You know what the trick is here? That if we hit the bonus goal, we can actually override the wheel. Just FYI. Anyway, hit that like button. We'll periodically check in on that as we go along here. But yes, Venom Kitetsu, again, thank you for the 25. I will get to your message and everybody else's in just a little bit, but we got to get into this show. We have to get into this SmackDown show, unfortunately. Oh yeah, before I do want to mention that was some news that broke late this afternoon. Congrats to Scott D'Amore and the folks over at Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling, which announced that they have signed a television deal. And they will have a new weekly series called Maple Leaf Mayhem that's going to be airing on TSN in Canada. So if you are a Canuck and you have access to TSN, you will be able... I don't know when it begins. I don't have the exact date in front of me, but they will have a new weekly TV series. So that is very cool. And also, I did see, now I know TNA had their Sacrifice pay-per-view tonight, and it was supposed to be Mike Santana in the main event defending the TNA World Heavyweight Championship against Steve Maclin. Obviously, I was watching SmackDown. I did not see the show, but from what I did see, early on in the match, like within the first minute or two, apparently, Maclin ate like a shoot super kick. I guess it connected a little too hard, and he got injured. He may or may not have gotten concussed, whatever it was. Evidently, they stopped the match to check on him, and I think they sent Eddie Edwards out there. And anyway, the match really never happened. So I don't know how serious that is, but hopefully he is okay. That sounds very scary. You don't want to mess around with concussions or head blows or anything like that. So if anybody gets any update as we're live here, you can fill me in the chat. SmackDown. They opened tonight's show with highlights of Randy Orton's very eventful night last Friday, ending with him breaking Matt Cardona's wrist. So Randy Orton was out first tonight, and he talked about Cody Rhodes telling him 2 weeks ago that he needed Orton to be the best version of himself that he could be. He wanted the best version of Randy Orton. And he also said Cody did that's what the fans wanted him to be. And the fans cheered when he mentioned this. And Cody also said he needed him to listen to the voices. Listen to the voices in his head. And did Maclin get fired and Feaster fired? It was a work. Yes, he got fired. He's already back, wrestling for the world champion. Why didn't they just have him win Feaster fired and open the briefcase for the world title shot? Would that have not made more sense? But he said Cody needed him to listen to the voices in his head, but he shut those voices out a long time ago, he said. And he had been thinking a lot about his 15th world championship, and he had been thinking about his legacy. And then Cody out of nowhere gives him his blessing, right? Which is what I said last week when I was talking about the idea behind why Randy did what he did. It was like, you've been given permission, right? I love you. No matter what happens, I love you. I will always love you. Fucking Whitney Houston over here. And that gave Randy the permission to go ahead and beat the hell out of this guy. So now that he's listening to the voices in his head again, he said he can't be responsible for what happens next. So the voices up here, the voices aren't the problem. It's everyone else's voice. And he's looking out at the crowd. This is the closest we've gotten to the You People promo. Because it's everyone else's voices, all of your voices, and people in the back, and Cody or Jelly or whatever. You know, he's talking about every other voice but the ones in his own head. That's the problem. There's one person outside of his own head, though, whose voice he is listening to. So Matt Cardona's music hits, he walks out, and he has a cast on his wrist because they claim he has a broken wrist as a result of last week's vicious attack by Randy Orton, where Matt Cardona laid there for 30 seconds with his arm in a chair and looked up at Randy Orton waiting for him to viciously stomp on the chair. And so because of that, he now has a broken wrist. So Cardona comes down, Orton shouting at him, like, what are you doing here, as he's climbing into the ring. And Cardona hits him in the head with the microphone. Orton rolls out to the floor right in front of the announce desk. And in response to all of this, the crowd in Pittsburgh chanted, Randy. 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 Get used to it. You're going to be hearing this a lot over these next few weeks. And then they just awkwardly cut to the back. That was the end. That was the end of the segment. They just awkwardly cut to the back. The fans, I will say, the fans were as firmly behind Orton here as they have ever been. Like, even when Orton was healing on them and said, I don't care about your voices. Your voices don't matter to me. They didn't even boo. They didn't react at all. They were just listening intently to what the man had to say. They're not going to boo this man. They're not going to do it. Now, in the back later, Orton was furious. He went over to Nick Aldis and he demanded a match with Matt Cardona. And the fans in the arena popped loudly when he asked for this match. Aldis was hesitant to do it because of Cardona's arm. But Orton said, if you don't give me the match, there's no telling what I may do to him. So Nick Aldis relented and he agreed to give Randy Orton a match against the man with the broken wrist, which seems very unfair to not at least first consult with the man who has a broken wrist before agreeing to put him in a match on this show. But that's how things operate apparently here on SmackDown. So the match was made, and so we knew what our main event was going to be right out of the gate. But that came a few segments later, that backstage segment. Before that, in the back, Nick Aldis was speaking with Trick Williams. And he told Trick he was giving him a match at WrestleMania. And of course, Trick was just elated by this news. And then Sami Zayn shows up. And Trick is gloating, I'm going to WrestleMania. And Sami congratulated him. And then he asked Aldis, what am I doing at WrestleMania? And Aldis should have told him the truth. He should have been like, well, you're going to sweep the floors after the fans leave for night one because they're going to be coming back for night two. And we need this arena clean. But he had to break the news to Sami. He said, look, you're a major asset to SmackDown, but things haven't exactly gone your way. And at WrestleMania, championships need to be defended. It's valuable real estate. And unless something changes, I don't have a spot for you right now at WrestleMania. Sami had a look on his face like somebody just told him his dog died. Trick Williams looked at him and said, better luck next year. And he kept on talking to Aldis. He was asking for, where do I get my comp tickets and all this stuff. And Sami is walking away. Again, the sad sack that he is. The depression continues here for Sami Zayn on SmackDown. But then he stops. And he suddenly smiles. It's as if he had this, like, epiphany. He had his eureka moment. He just thought of something. So he turns to go walk back towards them. And Trick tells him, hey, Sami, catering's that way. So Sami punched him in the face and knocked him to the ground. And then he smiled at Aldis, who kind of had to hold him back here. And he told Aldis, I'm going to have a match at WrestleMania. Just you watch. And he walked off. And I was left thinking at that moment, uh-oh. And the first person I thought of, Carmelo Hayes. And the reason I thought of Carmelo Hayes is because of what Aldis had said in the promo there, where he said, basically, I don't have any room for you at WrestleMania. It's valuable real estate. Championships have to be defended. So I immediately thought of the U.S. title, which Sami previously held, and I thought they wouldn't. Not this close to WrestleMania. Not after that great clean win he just secured last week over Ilya Dragunov, who was not even mentioned on the show tonight, let alone on the show. All the more reason to slot him in somewhere else at WrestleMania. I've already talked about that, what I would do. But that's what I was thinking. I was like, uh-oh. This may be going to a bad place for Carmelo Hayes, but let's see what happens. We had Charlotte Flair, and we had Alexa Bliss against the Bella Twins. Around and around we go. We've had so many different combinations of these teams and, the tag team champions, and we've had other teams. So now it was their turn to wrestle. Nia Jax and Lash Legend, they came out right before the match started to plug their title defense this Monday at Madison Square Garden against Bayley and Lyra Valkyria. And then they took a seat at ringside to watch the match. The fans treated the Bellas here as the de facto heels. Not that they were really wrestling as heels, and they're not heels, which is very weird, by the way. Because I think even Nikki Bella may have said something about this on the Bella Twins podcast, because Nikki Bella had turned heel a number of months ago on Stephanie Vicaire, and then she was just back to being a babyface as soon as her sister came back. And they didn't explain it. There was no turn back. There was nothing. It's like, well, now you're a babyface. But in this match, the fans really were treating them more as the heels. Charlotte got a hot tag late in the match and took some time to deliver a crotch chop towards Nia and Lash in their direction. Then she tagged Bliss back in. The Bellas gave her a version of the old heart attack. Flair broke up the count before Nikki threw her out of the ring. Alexa got a roll up on Brie. When Brie kicked out, the momentum sent Alexa forward. I don't know what the referee was doing. The referee is standing there, okay? Now, the idea is that the referee did not see what was about to happen. Didn't exactly work out that way. But the momentum sends Alexa forward. Lash Legend from the floor reaches in and just punches her right in the face. All right? The referee, Daphne, is standing right there. Now, the idea is that the referee didn't see it. Only she did. She was standing right there. She saw the whole thing. But she had to act like she didn't, because then it would blow the spot. The whole point was the referee wasn't supposed to see it. So, oops. Down goes Alexa, and then Brie rolls her up and gets the pin. So the Bella Twins are victorious. I want to ask you guys a question. And I don't know if I'm the only one who feels this way. Why do I feel when I'm watching these women's tag team matches over the last few weeks, and I'm talking primarily about SmackDown, why do I feel like the division has actually regressed? Like, I know what Charlotte Flair is capable of. I know what some of these women are capable of when I see them in situations outside of these matches. But then I watch these matches, and we've seen so many different combinations over the last few weeks. Charlotte Flair, Alexa Bliss, Nia Jax, Lash Legend. Nia Jax, Lash Legend, the Bella Twins. The Bella Twins, Charlotte Flair, Alexa Bliss. Around and around and around and around and around we go. We've seen so many different combinations. None of them have been good. None of them have been good. I don't know if there's just some sort of chemistry issue between all of these women. I don't know what it is. But I'm watching some of these matches, and I'm like, why does it feel like we're sliding backwards? It feels like we're regressing here in this division. Like, what is going on here? I don't understand. It's certainly, the stuff that we have seen over these last few weeks does not make it so that I feel excited to see them run it back again at WrestleMania, because we know we're all going to end up with them back in the ring together. It's going to be 4 teams, 5 teams, and the tag team titles are going to be on the line. They're not doing anything on television over the last several weeks to make me any more excited or interested to see them run this back again, which I thought was the point of all this, is to get people excited to see a big rematch or a big team match at WrestleMania. It's the last thing I want to see. Very strange. After the match, Nia and Lash, they laid everybody out. They were about to finish off Alexa when Bayley and Lyra Valkyria, their opponents this coming Monday, ran out to clear the champions from the ring. Charlotte also shoved Nikki down, or maybe it was Brie. It might have been Brie, who the announcers pointed out didn't see Lash Legend deliver that knockout shot to Alexa Bliss. I will also mention to you that Nikki was noticeably limping when she got back in the ring to celebrate with Brie when the match was over. I mean, she was basically hobbling around on her right leg. I didn't see where it happened. I mean, I'm hoping, maybe she just twisted it, a light sprain. Hopefully it's nothing too serious. Look, I'm not the biggest Bella Twins fan. I don't want to see anybody get hurt. Whether, we're this close to WrestleMania or any other time of year. So hopefully that's nothing too serious. But there was a segment after this in the back where the Bellas confronted Charlotte and Alexa and asked them, what the hell were you guys thinking? Charlotte told them to get to the back of the line. You don't get another shot at the championships. Those titles belong to us. Nikki said, we came back to become the tag team champions, and we're going to do whatever it takes to do so. And it almost looked to me like Nikki may have been crying. I don't know if it was, I don't know. I mean, maybe it was the red nose. I don't know what it was. But again, hopefully it's not a situation where there's an injury and it was just a minor thing. And she'll be fine. Not looking to see anybody get hurt here, but also can't tell you that I'm terribly excited to see any of this over again. I'm really not. They aired highlights of Damian Priest and R-Truth last week, winning the tag team titles from the MFTs. And they're in the back, and Truth is talking to somebody, and Priest has no idea what's going on. He's like, what are you doing? And Truth says, I'm building a clubhouse. The Judgment Day is back. And Priest says, no, we're not. So then Jelly Roll comes in. I told you, we're getting a lot of him on these. Oh my God. And then Asuka yelled for Kairi, and Kairi had to leave. We're getting a lot of Jelly Roll on these shows. So he comes in, And he greets them, and Truth thought that it was Dominic Mysterio. Goes, what happened to your mustache? So then Rhea Ripley walks in, and Truth thought that she and Jelly Roll were Dominic and Rhea, so Dom and Mommy are back, and I'm like, oh my God. So then Jelly told Rhea that he knows that she can beat Jade at WrestleMania to win the Women's Championship, but he had to go get ready for his match with Kit Wilson. And then as he left, Truth chased after him, still thinking that it was Dom. Comedy. So that left Rhea and Damien. She congratulated him on becoming tag team champions. He said it was unexpected, but he fully expects that Rhea is going to get hers at WrestleMania. Now go handle this Jade business already. So she smiled and she told him, Wepa! And headed to the ring. Oh my God. This is so bad. Oh, this show. It's Wepa time, everybody. Everybody celebrate. It's Wepa time.
You suck!
All right. So, I swear nobody is happier than Rhea Ripley, or nobody is happier rather than Damian Priest to see Rhea Ripley back on this show. He's probably looking going, please don't leave me again. Stay. I need you to stay on this show, please. Don't leave me. You like that, huh? It's Wepa time. Says it right there on his shirt. It sounds like something they'd have on a shirt. It is on the shirt. Where do you think I got that from? I can't make up something that terrible. I remember the first time I saw that, and I asked people who would know more than I would. I said, is that a real thing where people go around saying it in that way? I know, I Wepa, I know that, but like, it's Wepa time. Who says that? Who says that? Yes, Punch McLightning. Okay, I'm Puerto Rican, so I know about Wepa time, LOL. But does it actually said that way on a regular basis? Do people go around saying that, hey, it's Wepa time? I don't know. Rhea Ripley came to the ring after the commercial break. She never expected B-Fab and Meechin to be so desperate that they would feel the need to stoop down to Jade Cargill's level. But it's WrestleMania season, and she doesn't care who she has to go through to get there. So she said, I'm dressed for combat, so why don't you come out here and join me in the ring? And that brought out Jade Cargill with her new baddies, Meechin and B-Fab. And they all had microphones. So I'm like, okay, we're going to get the explanation for why they did what they did last week. So Jade said that Rhea sounds real slick for someone who got dropped last week. They didn't join her, she said. They positioned themselves in power. And if Rhea thinks that Jade's going to drag them down, she already knows what it is. I don't know what that's supposed to mean. If you think I'm going to drag them down, you already know what it is. I don't know what it is. Why don't you tell me what it is? B-Fab spoke, and the fans booed her, so at least she got some heat. Now, I don't know if that's heat because they're just angry that she turned on Rhea Ripley, or I don't know if it's heat because we don't want to hear from you, go away. It could be go away heat. I'm not sure yet. But they did boo. And she called Rhea a selfish backstabber. And then Meechin got all animated, and she said that she's been grinding for decades, just like Rhea. They've been putting in the work just like Rhea. And while they're the ones that are forgotten, Rhea gets all the love and attention. So B-Fab said that Jade had a plan, and they jumped at the opportunity. And at least with Jade, what you see is what you get. So then Jade and Rhea went back and forth. They were actually talking over each other, which I'm of two schools of thought on that. On the one hand, I'm sick and tired of these fucking promos where wrestler A speaks for an inordinate amount of time and is insulting wrestler B, and wrestler B has to just stand there and stare at them and wait their turn for the other person to finish, and then they can speak, right? Like if you're having a, let's say, frank discussion with someone, all right, or you're cutting promos on each other, are you going to wait for that person to finish everything that they're going to say? No, you're probably going to cut in, right? It almost makes it a little more realistic. So that's one way to look at it. The other way to look at it also is if they start talking over each other, the way that they started to do here, it could be hard to hear exactly what they're saying when they're trying to drown each other out. So we got a little bit of that here in this promo. I guess it's all a matter of personal taste, whether you thought that was a good thing or a bad thing. But Jade called Rhea a guest. You're not even officially on SmackDown. You're a guest. But they talked to Nick Aldis, and B-Fab wants to step up. And Rhea's going to learn. Rhea said that she's going to teach Jade that actions have consequences. Says that something that Jade can't protect B-Fab from. That's Rhea Ripley. So let's get this party started. I don't know if party is the word I would use for this, but yes, please, let's get the show on the road here. As far as the explanation, it was a pretty thin explanation as to why B-Fab and Meechin and not only turned on Rhea, but they aligned with the woman that they were feuding with for months. And I don't even mind the idea of them being with Jade. Just come up with, a good explanation. And really, the only real good explanation that you could go with is the idea of if you can't beat him, join him. We realize, what we're up against here, and we have respect for Jade, and maybe Rhea did something or said something to disrespect them. And so between those two things, we decided, we'd rather be on this side than on that side. Either way, it's going to be silly, given the fact that these two women spend months of their career, feuding with Jade Cargill. But I was waiting to see what they would come up with here. And I'm happy we at least got an explanation. I wasn't even convinced we were going to get one, honestly. I didn't even know if they were going to put microphones in B-Fab in Meechin's hands. I thought maybe they would just have Jade, do all the talking for them. So at least we got some kind of explanation here. But Meechin claiming that we've been putting in the work, and Rhea, she's the one who gets celebrated and gets all the attention, even though we're the ones who are grinding. And I'm listening to her talk about that, and I'm like, you're standing next to Jade Cargill. You've put the work in for a lot longer than she has. You're the ones out there grinding, not her. It took over 100 days for her to defend her championship. But you're okay with standing in lockstep with her, but not Rhea Ripley, because Rhea gets all the glory, not the woman standing next to you who is the champion, who hasn't exactly been grinding the way that you have. They're okay with that. So, again, a little thin on the explanation there, but whatever. I mean, this whole feud so far, all the back and forth and everything else, I guess we're making progress here. Nobody called the other person a bitch this week. That's progress. I just realized we didn't hear the B word. That's good. It's okay to give it a rest for a week. They went to a break. So now we know on the other side of this break here, we're going to get Rhea Ripley and B-Fab. Boy, I can't wait for this. They come back from the break. The match was already in progress. Rhea and B-Fab. And I don't even think, legitimately, I don't even think this went 60 seconds. This ended up being more of an angle, not really much of a match. They ended up outside the ring. Jade came over and threw Rhea into the ring steps, and the referee called for the disqualification. By the way, this is another thing about these WWE Paul Levesque shows, okay, where he loves his outside interference and distractions. How many times did we have that tonight here on this show? We had it here in this match. We had it, we had it in the U.S. title match when Trick Williams got involved. We had it in the Tiffany and Giulia match when Kiana got up on the steps or the apron, right, for the distraction there. We had it in the tag team match between the Bellas and Charlexa. That's at least 4 times on this show alone. Not every single match, every single week needs to have some sort of interference or distraction. It's out of control on these shows. Out of control. So the match is called off. Disqualification. And honestly, this is probably about as long as this match should have gone between B-Fab and Rhea Ripley. I am not going to sit here and be upset about the fact that Rhea Ripley and B-Fab didn't go 10 minutes. This went about as long as it needed to go. Rhea and Jade, they ended up in the ring. Rhea got her in position for Riptide. Meechin and B-Fab, they came over and broke it up. B-Fab mowed Rhea down with a bicycle kick. And then the two of them held Rhea up for Jade to lift her up and drop her for Jaded. This is pretty bad. I mean, there's no other way to really sit here and interpret what we have seen over these last few weeks with Rhea Ripley and Jade Cargill. I mean, this sucks. This is all very, very bad so far. I still think it's a decent spot for Meechin and B-Fab to be in. It beats the hell out of the alternative because you know exactly where they would be if they weren't side by side with Jade Cargill. I mean, let's be honest here, okay? You know exactly where they would be. So their role here, they're the lackeys. They're the lackeys. They're the gophers, okay? They may not be Patterson and Briscoe. Can I get you some coffee, Mr. McMahon? Okay, that's not their role. But they know their place with Jade is to be there in the supporting role for her. The only problem is that has a very short shelf life. So I don't know how long that's going to last. But come WrestleMania, they're going to be coming down to the ring with Jade Cargill. They're going to get their WrestleMania moment, as opposed to their moment in catering at WrestleMania, which is where they would be if they were not in the corner of Jade Cargill, because ain't no way that Meechin or B-Fab are making the WrestleMania card otherwise. So for them, not a bad spot to be in for now. I don't know that they have a lot of longevity in that role, but for now, good for them. Now we go backstage. Kit Wilson told a disheveled-looking Miz, he looked like he had a rough day or a rough week, told Miz that he would be unstoppable with him in his corner tonight for his match with Jelly Roll. And Miz said no. And he picked his shoe up and he showed him that he had stepped in gum. The bad luck from the curse has already begun. Got gum on his shoe. God, I hate when that fucking shit happens. Don't you hate when that happens? I actually sat in gum once. I just sat in gum on my suit. Bad enough to step in it. I guess better that than dog shit. See the key with the gum on the shoe? Ice. Got to rub some ice on it. That helps. So Miz said that Wilson didn't need him. Instead, I'm going to hang back here, he said, where there's no sharp objects. I'm going to stay behind in the dressing room and I'm going to watch. I'm going to take notes and I'm going to watch your match on TV. Wilson said, couldn't be because of the curse. And Miz insisted that there is no curse. He said, a curse is when lightning strikes from above, not when you step in gum or drop your phone in your toilet. So Miz made his exit. And then Danhausen shows up. And he got a pop from the crowd. And he said he wanted to mentor Kit Wilson. And Kit went to call him toxic. And Danhausen stopped him before he could say it. And then Danhausen told Wilson that he was cursed. Now I'm sitting here watching this show. And we were over an hour into the show. We had to be 75 minutes or so, 80 minutes, something like that, into this show. And this was bordering on worst show of the year territory. Think of everything that I just got done talking about. That was the first hour plus of this show. The first hour of the show was fucking horrendous. And so I'm sitting here going, man, it can't get any worse. It's got to get better, right? It could only get better from here. It could only improve. Like I'm trying to convince myself of this. They recapped all the brawling last week between Drew McIntyre and Jacob Fatu, which ended with the two of them falling off, I say the building. I mean, there was some sort of building or structure, some sort of edifice outside the arena last week, kind of in the parking lot area, and there was a ledge, and they both fell off the ledge. We couldn't see them splat on the ground because there was a white fence in the way, but we presume that, they splatted on the pavement. We didn't get any sort of update on them throughout the entire week. They could be dead for all we know, but nobody said anything. They could be just hooked up to machines, and then all of a sudden they come back to life, which apparently they did because they're okay. They're okay, but it took a week for us to get some sort of update here. We come back live. Drew McIntyre is walking into the building, and he's all bandaged up. You would think he would be in a body cast. You know, Matt Cardona had a chair placed on his arm, and Randy Orton stomped on the chair. And Matt Cardona showed up, and he had a cast on his wrist. Drew McIntyre and Jacob Fatu fell off the side of a fucking building, presumably onto the concrete. And they both show up this week on the show with various bandages on their body. I'm just like, there's a disconnect here somewhere. I don't know. There's a disconnect here. I don't really understand how that works, but lucky them, I guess, that they only got away with some minor injuries. I guess some scrapes and cuts and bumps and bruises. So Kathy Kelly asks, how do you feel after last week? Which is a pretty stupid question, Kathy. McIntyre said he was in no condition to fight, but if Fatu wanted to start something, he was here to finish it. And McIntyre noted how Fatu took everything from him, including the WWE Championship, including WrestleMania. And when a man has nothing to lose, that is when he is most dangerous. So from all of that, all the horrible stuff that I just got done reviewing, now it was time for Jelly Bean to come out for his match against Kit Wilson. And they actually let Kit Wilson come out last. He got the second entrance. So this was Jelly's first match since teaming with Randy Orton at SummerSlam last year, and this was the first singles match of his career. Now, before the match, Wilson said that Jelly crossed the line last week, so he had to come out here and defend his mother. So we got some more slam poetry with Kit Wilson defending his mother after all the horrible things that Jelly Roll said about her last week, which I will not recap because I do not want that image in my head. So the fans like Jelly Roll. They were behind him, which is good. And they kept what he did in this match limited because, again, he is not an athlete. He is not a wrestler. So you want to make sure whatever you have him doing, you limit it. You don't give him too much to do. You don't want him to get hurt or make himself look bad or make the other person look bad. So what he did was fine. Like I said, they kept it very limited. And I thought, Kit Wilson was just the right person for him to be in the ring with because Kit Wilson can go in there and he can sell for him and he can bump around and he's safe, right? He's a safe choice. So he caught Wilson at one point with a belly-to-belly suplex that Wade Barrett called a jelly-to-belly. That's the phrase that he coined. A jelly-to-belly suplex. He attempted a chokeslam. Wilson, though, avoided it. He tried something off the top. Jelly caught him into a power slam. Jelly then tried to hit Wilson with the poetry book, but he missed. Wilson hit him with his move. I don't even remember what he calls it. It's not like he ever fucking wins with it, so who cares? But he was unsuccessful in securing the 3 count. He tried it again. Jelly reversed out of it and finally hit the chokeslam for the win. After the match, Jelly Roll pulled his son out of the crowd and they left together. So he didn't look bad out there. It's the best I could say about this. He didn't look bad out there. Kit Wilson, he did his job just fine. He knew what the assignment was. He went out there and held up his end, and so this was not terrible. Because sometimes when you bring in a celebrity, and WWE has had some real luck with the celebrities they brought in, by and large, over the last few years. Logan Paul now is a full-time member of the roster, but they brought him in initially as a celebrity. Bad Bunny, Jelly Roll. They've been very fortunate when it comes to bringing people in from the outside and putting them in these situations. But because, boy, in the past, there are examples of people that have been brought in and that was a bad idea. Even Jay Leno, believe it or not, in WCW, Jay Leno wrestled Hulk Hogan in a pay-per-view main event in front of a bunch of people sitting on motorcycles. Sounds like a fever dream, but that's something that really happened. Hulk Hogan had to sell for Jay Leno Think about that. Jelly Roll don't sound so bad. Yeah, Stephen Amell. Stephen Amell was another one. That Stephen Amell, man, that was 20. God, Cody was still Stardust. That had to be 2015. I remember Stephen Amell did like a big crossbody off the top, I think, out to the floor. I remember that. Anyway, that's the best I could say about this. I might be more forgiving if they had given us some actual good shit in the first 80 minutes or so of the show, but to go from what we got then into a jelly roll match, I'm just like, can we get some good television here? Can we get like a good wrestling match just so I know they know still like how to have one? Can we please do something here to like bring the show up a little bit? Like I'm begging you, please, 3 hours. Give me something. Backstage, Solo Sikoa. I'm like, motherfucker. Give me something. What do they give me? What do they give me? They give me Solo Sikoa and the Lantern. And he's in the back with the MFTs. JC Mateo, Tama Tonga, Tonga Loa, Tala Tonga. Everything he does for them, he does out of love. He said he's hard on them. Let me start that again. Wait, take a drink here for a second. Do a little reset. Yes, he's hard on his family. No, he's hard on them because he knows how great they can be. So then Solo looked at Tama Tonga and he said his job is to lead the family, but he can't do that when everyone isn't on the same page. He admitted that he went a little overboard last week, and he apologized for doing so. He looked at Tama Tonga again while asking, you know who wouldn't apologize? Roman Reigns. Because if you remember last week on the show, he was accused by Tama Tonga, you're behaving a lot like Roman. And Solo took great offense to this. So Carmelo Hayes approached Tama after the other MFTs walked away, and Hayes asked if Tama's finally going to take his shot at the U.S. title, or are you going to wait until Solo tells you it's okay? So Hayes left, and then Shinsuke Nakamura showed up. The only job Shinsuke Nakamura has when he shows up each week to TV is to wait and hope that they put the camera on Tama Tonga at some point backstage, and then he will walk up to Tama Tonga. And I don't know what his interest is in this. He has taken this great interest in trying to convince Tama Tonga that he does not need the MFTs. I don't know if he's trying to kind of persuade him then to become his tag team partner. I don't know if he has some sort of sexual interest in this man. I mean, to each their own. I don't know why he has taken such an interest, but every single week, Tama Tonga turns around and there's Shinsuke Nakamura. Are you going to let him treat you like that? Are you going to be your own man? Fuck off. That's what Tama Tonga should say. Like, give me my space, man. This is weird. Like, fuck off. I'm dying for him to say something like that. Like, what's your deal, man? You and me, we're not friends. Like, you know, we knew each other many years ago, and now you're acting like you're my best friend. Like, why are you stalking me? What do you want? I don't know. But then Tala Tonga came over to ask him if everything was okay. And Thomas said, yeah, I'm good. And then he walked away. His young boy. Okay, yeah, maybe I don't know. I mean, Tama Tonga ain't exactly as young as he used to be. I don't know if I'd be calling him a young boy. Where was my head during this segment? Up my ass, apparently. I don't know, man. I'm like, I see the MFTs on my screen and my mind just starts to wander. I start to wander. I start to hallucinate and see things that aren't there. Carmelo Hayes. Finally. Some actual wrestling on this show. in the ring waiting to find out who would accept his open challenge for the United States Championship. And it turned out to be Sami Zayn. And as soon as I saw Sami come out, I knew exactly where this was headed. So then the lights went out, and Trick Williams comes out, great ovation. He's going to come down to the ring, he's going to take a seat, and he's going to watch this match up close and personal. So Zayn comes off the top rope at one point. Melo caught him right in the face with his picture-perfect drop kick, right to the mush. He tried for a first 48. Zayn caught him and dropped him with a sit-out powerbomb for a near fall. They ended up on the top rope together. Sami hit a superplex ahead of a second commercial break. By the way, this is a good moment for me to give you a little pro tip here. For those of you who are using ExpressVPN, as you all should be, and if you're not, I got a good deal for you. I got a link. Just check the description down below and use that link. You can thank me later. But whatever VPN you may be using, because I occasionally will get questions from people, you know, what server should I connect to? And I still get commercials. Do yourself a favor. Connect to a server from the Netherlands. Netherlands, Amsterdam, somewhere in that region. That's what you want to connect to. That way, the only commercials you'll probably see will be the WWE ones. Otherwise, you'll either get that, you know, countdown screen, countdown until they come back with that music. Do, do, do. Do, do, do. Do, 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 do. You know the music I'm talking about. You'll either get that screen or you'll be able to watch the match during the commercial break. And that applies not just to SmackDown. They could do that with Raw as well. Telling you, the Netherlands. Anyway, not much happened during the commercial break. Hayes charged at Zayn in the corner, but he got caught with an exploder into the corner. Sami had him lined up for the haluva kick, but he ate a first 48 instead. And he got a close near fall out of that one. Hayes headed up top for nothing but net. Zayn, though, caught him on the way down and then reversed it into a blue thunder bomb for a great near fall. So outside the ring, I mean, it was such a great near fall that Trick Williams popped up out of his chair. And he's kind of pacing back and forth, and he walks over and he grabs the U.S. title. So he walks around to the other side of the ring, and he slides it into the ring for Sami Zayn to use. I presume he wanted Sami to get himself disqualified. Sami hands the belt to the referee. Referee goes to dispose of the belt. Trick is up on the apron. He accidentally nails Carmelo Hayes with a shot that was intended for Sami Zayn. And Sami finally nails the haluva kick. And he regains the United States Championship. He beats Carmelo Hayes and ends Melo's run as champion. Tonight, Melo did miss. Another great battle here between these two men. I am sad to see Melo's reign come to an end this close to WrestleMania. Couldn't even let the guy go to WrestleMania. So I was bummed about that. But I am actually glad that they did or at least this is how I felt when the match was over. I'm glad they did the finish the way they did. And it wasn't just Sami beating him clean. If Sami just went in there and did what Melo did to Ilya Dragunov last week, then that's it. It's a clean loss. That's it. You're at the back of the line, buddy. But the way they did it with Trick punching Melo in the face, if Melo was to go to Nick Aldis and say, hey, I want a rematch for my championship. I want in on this at WrestleMania. He's got a built-in excuse, right? If I were Nick Aldis, I would be like, you're right. What happened out there never should have happened. And so therefore, and then I would make sure that that man has a spot on the WrestleMania card. However, in the back, when this was over, Sami Zayn's walking. He's beaming.
I have one pair of skinny jeans, and I'm going to wear them every week just to piss you off.
That's right. Big Dave. But Sami Zayn is walking in the back, and this man is beaming. He's got his championship. He finds Nick Aldis, and he asks him again, am I on the WrestleMania card now? Or are you giving me the night off? Aldis tells him, yes, you're on the WrestleMania card, and in fact, you will be defending your United States Championship against Trick Williams. And I'm like, I'm waiting. And they just move on to the next segment. I'm like, Wow. Now, we have 3 weeks left to go until WrestleMania. There is still time. In fact, next week on SmackDown, if Carmelo Hayes, we don't have a shot of Carmelo Hayes backstage either walking up to Nick Aldis or walking up to Sami Zayn and demanding to be inserted into this match at WrestleMania to make it a triple threat, that is fucked. That is fucked. This man has carried SmackDown in the way that Sami did when he had his run as the United States champion, as Ilya Dragunov did when he had his run as the United States champion. Melo has been holding it down on this show every single week, getting himself over by going out there and having great wrestling matches. This was the best run that he has had so far, this most recent run here on the main roster. And if you're going to end his run right before WrestleMania and work him into the planned match and make it a triple threat because, again, he kind of got screwed tonight. Not even kind of. He did get screwed out of the championship. Then that's one thing. But if they're really going to leave him out in the cold, like, that's fucked up. Even story-wise, it would not make any sense for Nick Aldis. Nick Aldis shouldn't even need to wait for Carmelo Hayes to come to him asking for a rematch. Like, let me ask you a question. I find myself asking you many questions because there's just some stuff that confounds me on these shows. Why would Nick Aldis, who saw what happened out there, reward Trick Williams by giving him a shot at the United States Championship, but leave Carmelo Hayes, the man who was screwed out of the championship, out in the cold when it comes to WrestleMania? Make it make sense. It doesn't make sense. So I'm hoping this is rectified next week. I'm just saying, if it's not, and it really is just one-on-one, Sami Zayn and Trick Williams, that ain't right. Because if Carmelo Hayes is not a part of that match at WrestleMania, Carmelo Hayes ain't going to be on the WrestleMania card. And if anybody has put the work in on this show over these last few months and deserves a spot, if all these other championships are being defended, if all these other championships are being represented on one of these 2 nights of WrestleMania except that one, and now it is, and he's not even a part of the match, that's fucking terrible. Get him in the match. Triple threat, Sami Zayn, Carmelo Hayes, Trick Williams. You want to get the belt on Trick Williams? I have to assume that's the direction that this is headed in. I have no problem getting the U.S. title on Trick Williams. Carmelo Hayes needs to be in that match. And there's history there between them. And I know they don't talk about it a lot on the main roster, but those of you who actually watched NXT when they were on the show together, when they split up, there is a history there. So it's not just what happened tonight. You can draw on that history as well. It makes all the sense in the world to work him into that match. Jacob Fatu. He was limping out to the ring next to address what happened last week with Drew McIntyre. Says he's limping, he was busted open, cracked ribs, and it all has to do with Drew McIntyre. What the hell is wrong with you, he said. You try to take me out and end my career. Take food off my kid's table. You thought kicking my teeth down my throat was going to keep me down? Hitting me with a car was going to hold me down? You thought that throwing me off the side of a building... Boy, this has become quite the feud here. Hitting people with cars, falling off the edge of buildings. Yeah, the fact that this man was hit by a car and fell off the side of a building and only showed up with some cracked ribs is actually kind of a medical miracle, I would say. He's a very lucky man. But you thought all those things were going to hold me down? He goes, hell nah. Drew, you did all that, but I'm still standing. I'm still here. And as long as I've got air in these lungs, that means every week I'm going to dog walk your punk ass. So Drew McIntyre made his way out to speak from the stage. He told Fatu, you accused me of a crime I didn't commit. I'm already guilty until proven innocent, right? He goes, you're straight guilty because you're a damn criminal. You did the crime and you did the time. And since you got out, you stole my title, you stole WrestleMania from me, you stole everything from me. You talk about me taking food off your kid's table. That's my food. He told Fatu, screw your not dead kids. Screw your damn kid. Oh my God, that got very dark. Screw your damn kids, he said. Just like Brock Lesnar, not a fan of the kids, is Drew McIntyre. So those were fighting words for Fatu, who started to limp out of the ring. But Nick Aldis comes out. He calms things down, tells Fatu, stay there. Aldis said that he figured the two of them would be all healed up by, I don't know, say April 18th. So he was giving them what they wanted. You want a match at WrestleMania? You got a match at WrestleMania. But it's not just going to be any old match. The referee will only be there to count the fall or the submission. No count out, no disqualification. This match will be unsanctioned. Christian, who said Christian Cage? Oh man, you thought what CM Punk said to Roman Reigns was bad. That almost got really dark with Drew. Oh man. So yes, unsanctioned is the stipulation for their match at WrestleMania. It's funny when we have these terrible fucking television shows. I feel like I always have more fun here on the reviews than I do watching the actual shows. I don't mind the stipulation. I think the stipulation is fine. It's basically a street fight. It's the same match that Drew McIntyre had with Damian Priest on the show last year. I thought maybe they would go the Hell in a Cell route just because they wanted to do, supposedly wanted to do a Hell in a Cell with Cody and Drew, and they pivoted in a different direction, so we'll just put these two, right? I mean, think about what they've done to each other. He said it in the promo. Hitting each other with cars, falling off buildings, right? I mean, if that doesn't necessitate Hell in a Cell, I don't know what does. But an unsanctioned match is fine. It's just another fancy name for a Sin City street fight. They'll have access to all the weapons and the plunder, and it'll be the same result in the end. But I do want to point out something very important, because I've been harping on this for a long time, and it came out again tonight, where Jacob mentioned, you kicked my teeth down my throat. And Drew McIntyre made it a point to say, you are falsely accusing me of something I did not do. And do you know why? Because he didn't do it. He didn't do it. Randy Orton did it. And it's all set up for Orton, for the big reveal to come sometime after WrestleMania. I don't know if it'll be his first program coming out of WrestleMania. I'm not even sure Orton's winning the title for sure. But coming out of WrestleMania, Orton is the heel. Although good luck trying to convince the fans of that. This is going to be one of his first programs, I think, coming out of WrestleMania. That's when we get the big reveal. It was me. I punt kicked your teeth down your throat. That's where this is going. It was never Drew McIntyre. So backstage, Jelly Roll. How many segments did he have on this show? He had a backstage segment with Rhea and Damian and Truth. Okay, so that's one. He had this backstage segment here with Matt Cardona. That's 2. He had the match with Kit Wilson. That's 3. And he came out at the end of the show. 4. 4 segments on this show. He approached Matt Cardona. He said he felt bad about what happened with Randy Orton last week because he was the one who encouraged Orton to go out and apologize to him. So he also said Cody Rhodes was on his way, and Cardona cut Jelly off and told him, you tell Cody if you talk to him, don't get involved in my match with Randy Orton. I'm going to kick Orton's ass. So Jelly said he would pray for Cardona. I think a lot of people were praying for Matt Cardona heading into this main event. So then after Jelly leaves, Zelina Vega and Aleister Black show up. They sidle up next to him. Zelina said that Orton, and they didn't look like they were talking to anybody in particular. They weren't really directly addressing Cardona. They were talking about him in his presence. And Zelina said that Orton calling Cardona a mark-ass stooge really got to Cardona. She said, imagine picking a fight that you can't win. Black said to imagine if the fight had been with Orton with no voices. He said, maybe there would have been a chance. And they left. And I'm like, what the fuck is the point of any of this? Tiffany Stratton against Giulia in what was originally advertised as a United States Championship match. And then a few days ago, all of a sudden, the graphic changed. And suddenly it was a non-title match. And this was really, I mean, the one word that really comes to mind as I'm watching this is this was sad. The Pittsburgh crowd died for this match. Like they had a solid match too. The match itself was actually solid. But these people did not care. You could actually hear Tiffany in the opening minutes of the match, like kind of yelling for the crowd, trying to get them into it. Like, come on. Like she was trying to kind of rally them and get them into things, and just wasn't having a lot of luck with it. But I've mentioned the Tiffany Stratton Swanton Bomb. You've heard me mention this before. She hits it in a way where she waits until the very last second to tuck her head on the landing. And there have been a few times where I've almost had a heart attack watching her, because it looks like she's about to take a header right down into the mat. And then at the very last second, she's able to kind of tuck her head. This was like the closest one yet. Like, or at least from the camera angle they shot it at, like I literally like yelped. And then they showed the replay and you could see at the very last second, she kind of, she rolls her head under, and I'm like, why? You are just asking for trouble. You're just tempting fate by doing that. I don't want to see her go in there and break her neck. But that was scary. So she hit that for a near fall. So then she hit the rolling senton, and she was going up top for the prettiest moonsault ever when Kiana James ran distraction long enough for Tiffany. When she finally did hit the prettiest moonsault ever, Giulia got the knees up on the landing. And then Giulia hooked her into a roll-up, and she pinned Tiffany. The United States champion actually victorious here in this match. Tell me again, what was the point of turning this into a non-title match if Giulia was just going to go in there and win anyway? I'm dumbfounded by that. Why even, you advertise it as a championship match. So when they changed it, I was like, okay, Tiffany's going to win, and then she'll get a title shot at WrestleMania. But then Tiffany lost. So I'm not sure why this had to be converted to a non-title match. The champion won a non-title match. That's it. To the back of the line for Tiffany Stratton. That's the way that this is supposed to work. Very weird. Very weird. Monday night this week, it was originally when they announced that first match with the Usos and the Vision, they said nothing about it being a title match. And then later in the week, they announced that it was going to be for the World Tag Team titles. And then during the day on Monday, I noticed, wait a minute, they're not mentioning the titles anymore in the preview. And sure enough, it turned out to be non-title. And then there was a report that WWE wanted to keep the belts on them because they were going to be at the MLB on Netflix premiere on Wednesday night. And I guess they wanted them there with the belts. Meanwhile, and I didn't see it, but meanwhile, I heard that Jimmy wasn't even there. Apparently it was Jay and Fatu, I think somebody said. So I don't know what happened there, but now they're defending the tag belts in a street fight this Monday against Logan in theory. But they're advertising these matches and then they're altering them. And I'm just thinking to myself, how far down to the wire are these plans coming for some of these shows? Because it sounds like they have an idea on what they want to do, and then the day of or the day before, all of a sudden it gets changed. I don't know why this had to change though, seeing what they did here. But it was just sad to see how heatless this match was. I remember when they went to commercial break, I was taking a moment to just put some stuff in my notes, and I had to look over just to see if people were alive because it was so quiet. And they're working, they're doing spots and stuff, and just like nobody cares. So Randy Orton, he was shown in the back. Once again, talking on the phone with the mysterious voice on the other end of the phone who we don't know who it is. And we can joke that it's the voices in his head, but now, based on what Orton said in his promo earlier in the show, let me tell you this. If it ends up being something where, it was the voices in his head, I want people to remember this show tonight. And I want you to shame WWE, okay, for a terrible, terrible reveal. Because the way he spoke about this earlier, he specifically said that there is one voice that's not in his head that he actually does listen to. So that confirms that it's an actual human being. It's an actual person. We just don't know who that person is yet. But if they try to, come up with something clever where, it's the voices in his head. No. Tonight's the night where you clarified that and said that it is an actual person. We just don't know who that person is. I would like for it to be Kevin Owens, though. I'm still pulling for KO. The more they kind of drag this out and delay it, makes me think if maybe he keeps saying, see you soon, see you soon. Is he talking about WrestleMania? Is whoever this person is going to factor into the finish of that match? All the more reason for it to be Kevin Owens. I would love for it to be KO. I don't know that he's any closer to having any sort of medical clearance to do anything physical or be back. I mean, there's really been no updates on that at all. So I don't know if they would want to bring him back to TV if he couldn't actually wrestle. They would bring him back in like a non-wrestling capacity until he's able to get cleared, or I don't know. Even if he was just a character on the show, though, I feel like he would really bring some life to the show that the show has been lacking. But then it was Randy Orton against Matt Cardona. Would you look at that? Let's look at the bright side of it for Matt Cardona, okay? This is the second week in a row now where Cardona has owned the closing segment on SmackDown. See, that's a positive way to look at it. Unfortunately, he came off as just a complete tool on the show last week. They did him no favors with the way they booked that entire thing, where he was the only person in the entire building who didn't see that coming when Randy kicked him in the dick and then beat him up. And then the stuff with the chair on the arm for 25 seconds. So let's see if things go a little bit better for Matt Cardona this week, shall we? Orton entered first. Then we got another break. Then Cardona entered, and right off the bat, he uses the cast as a weapon. But it had little effect on Randy Orton, who targeted the wrist, and he just beat the shit out of him. For 5 straight minutes, he kept targeting the wrist. He's bending the hand backwards. He's throwing him into the ring post. He's stomping on the wrist. He's doing everything. He's just kicking this guy's ass for 5 minutes straight. And there was one little glimmer of hope for Matt Cardona when he hit a Rough Rider out of nowhere. And he got a near fall out of it. One little hope spot. And that's all he got. Otherwise, he just got his ass handed to him. And then finally, Randy Orton hit him with an RKO. And then to add insult to injury, he took forever to finally cover him and get the pin. Thanks for coming, Matt. Thanks for coming. Enjoy the catering. It'll be fine. Just use your right hand to hold the fork. I know you got the cast on this one. Just use your right hand. So as Orton was celebrating, we see on the screen the bus has arrived. And off the bus comes Cody Rhodes. And he is walking into the building, and I believe they went to a commercial break. Orton's standing in the ring watching as Cody is walking in, and the officials are trying to hold him back, and he's just got tunnel vision, right? He's got one goal here, is to get his hands on Randy Orton. So they come back, and the WWE champion has arrived. And Nick Aldis and security, again, they're trying to stop him. They're all impotent. Every single one of them. Impotent. Unable to perform. Can't get the job done. And Cody knows that. They're not going to be able to hold him back. What do they have on them? They have no tasers. They're going to drop a net on him like in a cartoon. These people are terrible at their jobs. Completely ineffective. Cody walks down to the ring, and the fight is on. He goes right after Randy Orton. They start getting into it. So, again, security tries to intervene, and they fail. Cody is gouging at the eyes. Orton's trying to get away. And they end up outside the ring, over by the announce desk, on top of the announce desk. And this is just going back and forth, back and forth. They end up back in the ring. And security finally gets them separated. Cody's in one corner, Orton's in the other. And as I said earlier, like, one breaks free and jumps the other, and then they get broken up again, and then the other one breaks free and jumps on the other, and back and forth we go. And it was kind of alarming, I guess, to be watching this. Cody Rhodes, the WWE champion, his big return, one of the main events of WrestleMania this year. Cody, biggest star in the company, right? Their biggest babyface. And I'm like, man, this crowd doesn't seem too terribly excited to be seeing what's going on here. And as I'm watching the segment drag on, I realize why. Because this segment sucks. This is a terrible brawl. It is a heatless, lifeless, just the fans are apathetic as they are watching this. Apathetic and lifeless are actually two great words to describe what this segment was. People didn't seem to care. And I can't really blame them because as pull-apart brawls go, this is one of the worst that I've ever seen. And these men are in the main event of WrestleMania. Like, I saw what Cody and The Rock did when The Rock was kicking his ass and then he took him outside and beat him up by the bus. That was a great segment, right? That was 2 years ago. And we've seen other segments that are very similar where the fans are into it, but there's just, like, the locker room will pour out. And it's mass chaos. And these guys are just trying to get at each other, trying to bite each other, or someone's bleeding. And it's like, man, these guys really want to kill each other. And you never got that vibe watching this. It just felt like they're just going through the motions here. And I'm looking at the clock and I'm like, boy, this segment feels like it's going on forever. And it's still only 10:57. Did they come up short? Are they trying to kind of stretch and stall for time? What are they waiting for? Something has to happen here. Maybe it's the person who was on the phone with Randy. My God, can you imagine if it ends up being Jelly Roll? And what we saw tonight was all just a swerve. Can you imagine? Actually, you know what? I wouldn't put that past them. Jelly Roll goes heel at WrestleMania, ends up being a heel manager for Randy Orton. This was not good. But then Jelly Roll finally comes out. He got his cue. Comes down to the ring. Orton's in one corner, Cody's in the other. And Jelly Roll goes over to Cody, and he's trying to diffuse the situation. He's trying to calm things down. And Orton breaks free. He spins Jelly Roll around, and he drops Jelly Roll with an RKO. And Orton rolls right out of the ring. Jelly Roll is generally well liked by the audience. But what are the fans chanting? They finally show signs of life here in this segment. And what are the fans in Pittsburgh chanting? They are chanting, Randy, Randy, Randy. They are cheering that he dropped Jelly Roll with an RKO. And I know it wasn't designed to elicit this type of reaction, but I just laughed. I thought this was fucking hilarious. The problem is this segment was not supposed to be hilarious. Danhausen is supposed to be funny. R-Truth is supposed to be funny. Kit Wilson is supposed to be funny. The Miz is supposed to be funny. Dane Cook, back in the day, was supposed to be funny. Things don't always work out that way. Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton here in this segment, this was not designed to be comedy. But they're trying to get Randy Orton booed, and it's not working. Doesn't matter whether or not he's beating up Matt Cardona, he's beating up Jelly Roll, he's beating up Cody Rhodes. Randy. They want to see this man win that 15th World Championship. Just like last year, they wanted to see John Cena win World Championship number 17. You're fighting against the waves here. And that may be the most entertaining part of the entire thing. That was the most entertaining part of this entire segment. Because what they went for, what they were going for here, it didn't work. Just the intensity did not match what we saw when Orton bloodied him up on TV 2 weeks ago. This was a very lame, underwhelming follow-up. And so, at least for this week, CM Punk and Roman Reigns, they get the thumbs up. This gets thumbs down. Because what they did at the end of the show when Roman finally went off on Punk, what they did at the end of the show on Monday was better than what they did here on Friday. Maybe next week it'll flip and it'll be different. But I thought they took a pretty big step back with what they did in that main event segment tonight. But when this show was over, I was more frustrated, I guess, than anything else, that this show, there's no excuse for this show to be bad like this. There's no excuse for this show to be like, man, I'm looking at the time like, holy shit, I can't believe we have 2 more hours of this. Where is just the hot angles? Right? Where are the angles that are designed to make you really excited to see what these people are going to be doing at WrestleMania? Or to see these two people that have been at each other's throats now for all these weeks finally, lock up and have that big showdown, big epic showdown at WrestleMania. Why does Jelly Roll need 4 segments on the show? Why are matches that are advertised as a title match or advertised, in some way one week suddenly change at the last minute? There's a lot of weird things that have been going on. All I want is for them to put on a show that it's hard to do a 3-hour show and keep people's interest. There's no wrestling show that should be 3 hours long every week. I don't care how hot the product is. And the thing is, the WWE product is not hot right now. But if it was, I would still feel the same way. These shows are not designed to be able to hold people's interest for 3 straight hours. And plus, I feel like with all the commercial breaks and everything else and the way they position them on the show, that's a tough sell anyway, because it just feels like as soon as you come back from one, you're right into another, and it just kills the momentum. So that's bad enough, right? But there's nothing we could do about that. You cannot watch the show. I don't have that luxury because we're heading into WrestleMania, and I'm obviously going to be watching the shows and following along to see what's going on so I could talk about them. And nobody would love for these shows to be more interesting than me, because then I have more to kind of sink my teeth into, and I could be genuinely excited to see where's this going to go and that's going to go and talk about this and that. And then I see a show like this and it's almost like they're not even trying. It's like they've thrown the towel in. It's like, well, we're going to sell 40,000, 45,000 tickets per night at WrestleMania anyway. We've got Jelly Roll and we've got this person and we're going to get iShow Speed. And we're like, who gives a shit? Like, who gives a rat's ass? We just want a coherent, interesting, exciting product. Sprinkle in a few great wrestling matches in there. It doesn't have to be just all wrestling matches, but sprinkle in a few of those as well. Give us some good, compelling stories. Pay it off at WrestleMania or kick it. Maybe there's a bigger story that kicks off at WrestleMania, whatever it may be. But just give me a reason to tune into these shows and not want to bang my fucking head against the wall. I just love, like, when the story came out a few weeks ago about Road Dogg. Oh, Road Dogg, he's not on the creative team anymore. Finally, SmackDown's going to get better. I'm like, why do you think that? Do you think Road Dogg was the head writer on SmackDown and I know he was the co-lead writer, but do you honestly believe that he was kind of the brains behind the operation and he was coming up with all the ideas and he was putting, he was really connecting all the dots? He was one part of a larger team. And him being gone doesn't change anything. It's sort of the overall vision and philosophy and just the way they do things. Unless there's real change at the top of that and the way they approach, like, again, I mentioned all the interference and the distractions. It's like they open their playbook, like Kit Wilson has his poetry book. They have their rule book for how they do things. And they just sort of go down the list. Okay, we're going to do this. We're going to have this person interfere at the end of this match. We'll have this standard pull-apart brawl. We'll have our contract signing next week. It's like the WWE greatest hits. And that just doesn't cut it anymore. It's lazy. It's lazy and it's boring. And the people watching the show, they deserve better. Because they want to invest in your product. That's why they tune in. If they truly didn't care, if they truly just did not give a shit, then they would stop watching and they would drop off. They keep watching because they want to see improvements. They want to see a hot show. If you give people a hot show, I also think the crowds would respond better as well. Because it makes it even more depressing when the crowds are just sitting on their hands, barely making any noise. What did you think of SmackDown from Pittsburgh? 29% thumbs up, 71% thumbs down. Good. That sounds about right. Oh, this show was fucking terrible. Just awful. Just awful, awful television. I don't know what to tell you. Like Big Damo said, right? I don't know what to tell you. It's like I always say, habit and hope. I watch out of habit, and I hope it gets better. I usually don't say that around WrestleMania time, though. Anyway, we're at 505 on the likes. I think the goal was 700. We had a high goal tonight. So we're less than 200 away, but still about 200 away if we want to do Be the Booker. Just a little update on where we are there. Hey, Joseph Stewart. What's going on? He says it was Mariah Carey's birthday. How old is Mariah Carey? You know, her voice can crack glass. Happy anniversary to when Macho Man won his first WWE World Heavyweight Championship. One of my favorite WrestleMania moments. Yes, that was WrestleMania 4. 4 matches in one night. We could have had Randy Savage and Ricky Steamboat. It was taken from us. Also, Sid should have been one of the top baby faces of WWE in the 90s. I mean, he was for a brief period of time. Sid was very much in and out. There was never any real consistency with his runs. Says, people in my family are excited for the live-action Moana movie and excited to see The Rock play Maui again. Have I seen the Daredevil show on Disney Plus? I have not. Did Dances with Wolves beat out Goodfellas at the Oscars in '91? I didn't know that. Have you seen the Nicolas Cage movie Snake Eyes and Leaving Las Vegas? No and yes. AAA is becoming my favorite wrestling show to watch. The Undertaker is doing a fantastic job. Well, Undertaker and Jeremy Borash. Undertaker is not writing the shows himself. Josh Alexander just announced he's having knee surgery next week. Yeah, he's going to be out for a while. That's too bad. It was a freak thing, too. I saw what happened when he got hurt. It was a simple, stupid, thing in the ring. It wasn't anything high risk or anything like that. Anyway, Joseph, thank you. I can't believe that. I can't believe Dances with Wolves beat out Goodfellas. That sounds like an injustice. Give me Backshot Solomonster. New Y2J trademark. And the next Dynamite is in Winnipeg. Uh-oh. He may be coming back. Tommy Colella with a $20 super chat. So I was thinking about the Gunther situation. He basically has the Lashley spot from a few years ago. Bray got sick and Rey Mysterio is hurt. I just hope they don't make him win the Andre Battle Royal. Oh my God, can you imagine that? He wins the Andre Battle Royal and his WrestleMania appearance is holding up the trophy. I don't even want to think about that. Rizzo, awful SmackDown. Watching Sammy is like watching paint dry, and he wins the belt from Mello. Also, why don't these dirt sheets leak out AEW spoilers? Well, they're not as plugged in to AEW. I think Tony keeps a lot of his shit just close to the vest, and he doesn't really spread it around to anybody. WWE has more leaks than my roof had a couple of years ago. Luis says the Hannah Montana 20th anniversary special was absolute garbage. Now SmackDown. No hate on Miley Cyrus, but in what universe are we in? You know, I could ask that same question that you sent in a super chat talking about the Hannah Montana 20th anniversary special. Because that is not a universe that I choose to live in. But apparently it was absolute garbage, according to Luis. Now, was it worse than SmackDown? As long as it wasn't 3 hours long, there's no way that it could be as bad. Leo says, Kiana James with the U.S. title just feels so right. Make it happen, WWE. Broly. Wouldn't it be better if Kalani and Jada Parker were part of Jade's baddies instead of, the two women who have been jobbers for 3 years? No, I think they're actually going to want to push Kalani and Jada when they get called up. I think the purpose of Meechin and B-Fab is to just, like I said, lackeys. Their job is to just go out there and take bumps on behalf of Jade if they don't want Jade to get touched and bounce around and lose matches. The hope is that if Kalani Jordan and Jada Parker get called up to the main roster, they won't be treated that way. That's the difference. Also, he says, get NXT producers to produce the main roster women's matches. Deb to Dust. When you think of the term styling and profiling, who's the first person you think of? Ric Flair or Walt Clyde Frazier? Ric Flair. Thank you, Dev. G. Barry Free with the Canadian $6.99. It took me 3 attempts to get through that Giulia and Stratton match. See, I didn't think it was a bad match. I just thought the crowd was very indifferent towards it, and it was sad to watch, but I told you why I thought it was like that. I don't think Tiffany is a great babyface. And Giulia, I love Giulia to death, but she's not over. She's just not over. Lakers Pats RSPW rewind of WWE buying WCW. Now there's an idea. That might not be a bad idea. Aussie of Steel. Is this second Giulia US title run worse, or are they equally shit? Also, fun fact, Giulia has not defended the title since January 9th, the week after she won it back from Chelsea. Well, see, now that makes sense. They made this a championship match tonight, and then they realized, oh shit, we can't have her defending her title now. We gotta quickly change it to a non-title match. Yeah, I'm glad you pointed that out, because look, I pointed out the fact that Jade, it took 100 days for them to have her defend the championship. So let's call out the US title for the same thing. And to answer your first question, they're equally shit. Both runs have been equally shit. You can thank WWE for that. Marquand 1976. What's going on, Marquand? Says, hey, Solo, I'm fasting today for minor surgery tomorrow morning. Wish me luck. I wish you all the luck. All the best. Everything's going to come out just fine. That's what I'm hoping for. Luis Lopez with a $5 super chat. So Sammy took Gable's spot back in WrestleMania versus Gunther, and now he takes Melo's spot at WrestleMania. Not a fan. Hope Melo gets added to the match. He better be. He absolutely better be added to that match. There's no logical, even storyline, no logical reason for him not to be. Arabian Night, Tiffany has significantly regressed, in my opinion. Tonight's match was embarrassing. I don't remember the last even good match that she's had. It's been at least a year. I don't know. The match didn't stand out to me as being that bad. There are matches I will watch on this show. I mentioned the women's tag team match where it looks like, I don't know, I'm watching it and I'm like, have these people actively regressed? I don't understand. What's going on here? There are things that Tiffany does where, and not just the Swanton thing that I mentioned, but I think part of the problem is just her being a babyface or having this very undefined role on the show where it's just she's in this weird spot right now. It's kind of hard to describe, but I don't think it's a good place for her to be. I think she needs to have a more well-defined role on this show. Do you want her to be a babyface or do you want her to be a heel? I think she works better as a heel. My opinion, that's what I think she works better as. Yeah, not as many house shows. You know what? You're not wrong about that. I absolutely 100% think that has at least something to do with it. They're not working as much. They basically just do TV, except when they do the international tours. They just do TV. Manu. Keep Gargano far away from Ciampa. Ciampa has a good thing going. Being lumped together with Johnny Mouseface would end it and turn him into interchangeable tag guy number 531. Well, all right then. Bobby's World. $28. It's the Nick Wayne super chat. Module 2 of management training is finished. Scored an 85% on the test, which for me is a little disappointing. But it's a passing score. Gotta keep putting in the hard work. Sending my love to you, my friend. And the whole Green World Order. Thank you, Bobby. Hey, 85%? I would take that. Not a bad score at all. Leopoldo, anybody know if Cody has made it to the ring yet? I know when that super chat came in. Andre Israel, screw your kids. Drew McIntyre 2026. That's better than what I almost said. Prince Vegeta 95. At what point did you come around to Cody as a main event star? Was it after his Dustin match at Double or Nothing? I think that one had a lot to do with it because that was such a great match. Trying to think if there was like another AEW pay-per-view match. Yeah, I mean, I think I was already sold on it at that point because when that company first started, they did a pretty good job of positioning, all the EVP. I mean, Kenny Omega was already a huge star, but they positioned them as top stars in the company. The match with Dustin, to me, if I wasn't already sold me on it at that point, just because they told such a great story and it was such a great match. And when it was over, it was like an emotional roller coaster watching that match. Venom Kitetsu with the 25. Too bad we never got Earl and Dave fighting Undertaker and Kane. Could have had Brothers of Destruction versus Brothers Hebner. Thanks for dealing with the modern wrestling head on so most of us don't have to. God's strongest warrior. Oh, man. You know, well, nights like tonight with this show, I don't know, man. Feels like it gets harder and harder. Cody ruined the Bullet Club? How did he ruin the Bullet Club? Yeah, you know who needs to be called up? Blake Monroe. Let's get her on the main roster. William Valencia says, hey, Solomonster, thoughts on another solo segment where they mention Roman? Do you think he and the Usos play a role in the main event of WrestleMania? I think the Usos for sure. I've said I'm a little worried that we're just going to get like an OG bloodline reunion, which I really don't want to see. Why are we going back to that? Usos, I think, are absolutely going to play some kind of role in that match. Hey, Philip Bowman, to quote the Deadlock podcast to WWE, this has got to be so devoid of any creative thought. May God have mercy on your soul. You've ruined wrestling. John Cena has achieved his objective, I see. Also, which horror movie villain would work as a wrestler? Hannibal Lecter or John Doe? Hannibal Lecter would be kind of an interesting promo, don't you think? A little Jake the Snake in him. I'll go Hannibal Lecter. Temjin Zephyr. The tough guy is here. $15 super check. Glad I skipped SmackDown tonight for the gym. Your review, well, that'll be much better for your health. Your reviews always make my night. Also, I know you had a smile on your face when the Mets won on opening day. Congrats on 91K. Thank you, brother. It's just one day. I'll take the smiles where I can, but I keep telling myself it's just one day. It's one game. There's a lot left to be played. Libido Bell, has a wrestler ever injured Vince? Yes. Well, I want to say when Undertaker came back as the American Badass. I mean, injured. Injured is a strong word. I'd say hurt. If you remember when Undertaker got in the ring, he was kicking everybody's ass. Vince, I don't know what Vince was doing. He went to go run away from the Undertaker, but he did it in like the funniest way, where I can't even recreate what he did, really. I could try, but like, he's standing there and he sees the Undertaker in front of him. So it's like he turns to go. I don't know. I can't even do it. I'm not even going to try. But like when he turned back around, I think Undertaker clipped him on the bridge of his nose, because when Vince was leaving, he had blood coming from the bridge of his nose. That might be the only time I could really think of like him being hurt. There was one more time. The Over the Edge match in 98, where he was the referee for Austin and Dude Love. From what I can recall, when Austin cracked him in the head with the chair shot, I mean, that was a brutal chair shot. I believe Vince needed some dental work. I think he hit him so hard in the head with the chair and knocked out some, I don't know if it was fillings or what. But I remember reading that he needed some dental work done the next day. But that may be it. Falcon Star, hell yeah. Solomonster's still alive. Solomonster's still alive. Philip says, I work at the arena SmackDown was at tonight, and being able to overhear Jelly Roll winning a match was disappointing, to say the least. Also, you were working the show. Interesting. It's a good thing you didn't snap any photos or video of the rehearsals before the show, or else Triple H would have fined you $10,000 like they did Tama Tonga. Boss Mo Jackson is with us. There he is. The brawls are getting old and tired. Thumbs down on creative. Yeah, I mean, they lean on them like a crutch. There's really no creativity anymore with these shows. They have run out of ideas. That's why they rely so much on like the Masked Man, the mystery phone call. Like it's all mysteries and they drag it out as long as they possibly can because they're devoid of any actual creative ideas. That's the problem. And it's so many of the same voices and the old faces and the old heads in the room that have been there for 20, 30, 40, 35 years, 40 years, whatever it's been. Not a surprise. Tyrus was at the show and the last segment was so fucking long. And he says, I dreamed all last night I was a car muffler. And when I woke up this morning, I was exhausted. Look at this guy. He's getting in on the jokes here. It's a great show, by the way. The Golden Girls. Mactub. Favorite WrestleMania match besides Taker HBK and Bret Austin. Rock Hogan, WrestleMania 18. Leopoldo. Trick can slap a baby and get whooped that trick chance. Oh, the WWE audience, they would just chant one more time, one more time. Mactub, buy or sell better overall performer, Orton or Punk? Punk. Far more interesting just on promos alone. Base beer is who wins in a shoot, Triple H or Randy Savage? Oh, my money's on Savage. I'm going Randy Savage all day long. Devin from NJ, buy or sell, Cope Hogan or Cody Hogan? We'll go with Cody Hogan. Toya ain't nice, Orton. It was me. It was with me, Jacob. With me all along. It was with me? I think you mean it was me. I don't know what that means. Orton, it was with me, Jacob. It was with me all along. Base Beerus, Randy is talking to Hornswoggle. Hey, Amarix, thank you, brother. Nick Grasso with a 1999. I don't know if you have been keeping up with NXT, but I've seen clips from the Zarya Sol Ruka feud. And wow, the fans have really turned on Sol and sided with Zarya. If there was any feud that needed a double turn. Yeah, I mean, I haven't really been keeping up with a lot of it, honestly. It's I tried to a while back. It's just not that good. Hey, B-Man the champ, you are toxic. Base Beer says jabroni roll. I don't know, man. He won. He won his match tonight. Dry Chicken says Yukon Huskies win tonight, men's and women's. You gotta love those husky women. Shin Super Kick Akuma, $5 super chat. What's up, Solo? Just wanted to say, hey, good job on everything in the new show. Keep pushing it. Also, shout out to Chris. You know who you are. Thank you, Shin. I appreciate that. New show is going very well. More. Enough's enough. When are you taking your first bump? Boy, you must have, you really missed out, dude. I already did. It pops up, actually, as a super chat sometimes. Stick around long enough, you may see it. You're way behind. Took my first bump around the holidays in 2024. I'm still recovering. It's been a lengthy recovery. Dry Chicken says the WWE creative team under Triple H loves to enjoy unseasoned chicken, raw meat, and plain meal. Yeah, very, very plain. Shin says, is there a Zack Sabre Sr.? And I don't know, actually. I would imagine there must be. If there's a Zack Sabre Jr., then there must be a Zack Sabre Sr. And also, would you ever do a stream talking like Jacob Fatu? That would be funny. Oh, I don't think that would be very... I think that would get very old after 2 minutes. Mystic J. They've had all these title matches on TV and yet barely anything ready for Mania. A 2-night event. I think we're going to get a Jelly Roll concert on night 1 and then a Jelly Roll match on night 2. Dry Chicken, this is a low bar, but I would rather watch the House of Torture wrestle over SmackDown. I think SmackDown is a House of Torture. Leo, if it were up to me, I would turn Tiffany heel and get Kiana away from Giulia and try Kiana as a babyface. I think eventually she will. I kind of like Kiana as a heel right now, but I agree that the pairing with her and Giulia, that needs to come to an end. It's not benefiting either one of them. If anything, it's actually holding Kiana back. Steve, my boy Steve Mello, never been this uninterested for WrestleMania. Terrible TV. It is, dude. I mean, it's just... It's bad. It's bad. It's very bad. Not everything on the shows is terrible, but there's more bad than good. And I hate it. I hate that we're heading into WrestleMania and that we feel that way. B-Man the Champ, Cody tonight was like that Family Guy meme. I just want to talk to him. I just want to talk to him. Yeah, but he didn't pull out the gun, though. Also, who was Trick going to face originally, I wonder? Yeah, I don't know if Aldis really implied that he had a match planned for him. He just said you're going to have a match at WrestleMania. So maybe Aldis had like a few different ideas. Actually, the idea probably was going to be the US champion. But then Sammy went and won the belt, so it became Sammy and Trick as opposed to Trick and Mello. Nick Grasso with a 1999. With Punk constantly talking about Roman not being able to do anything on his own, maybe we get the Usos helping Punk win, because I still think Punk has one more heel run in him and we don't need another bloodline reunion. I would not mind another Punk heel run, but I do not see the Usos helping him win. Actually, you know what? I shouldn't say that. It wouldn't be so much the Usos helping Punk as much as it might be them working against Roman. If Roman is not treating them in the way that they feel they should be treated, it would be a Jey Uso decision, because Jey is just, he's gone rogue. He was calling the shots with Roman the other night. So, can't rule out that they would cost Roman the match, but it would be more about costing Roman, not so much helping CM Punk. Cornell Bryant, who would have thought Kaiser might have a WrestleMania match this year and Tiffany might not. Her fall off should be studied closely. Oh, I'll do you one better. Who would have thought that Kaiser would have a match at WrestleMania on the card this year, and Gunther is the one where we're all wondering what, if anything, is he going to be doing on the show? And B-Man says, my doctor told me I was colorblind. I was shocked. That came out of the purple. Huh. I see what you did there. Very clever, very clever. Clever guy. Eat lightning. The timekeeper should be ringing the bell in rapid bursts during pull-apart brawls and post-match beatdowns. It adds a more chaotic feeling. I do miss that. I agree with you. I think that they should they should still be doing that. It does get a little annoying the longer. I mean, can you imagine that tonight with that pull-up? That pull-up part was like fucking 10 minutes long. I wouldn't be ringing the bell for that long, but I agree. It's just one of those old school things that used to be done, and for whatever reason they don't do it anymore. It does add to like the chaotic feel of them all. Anyway, that's what I got for you guys. $5.97. Was it $5.97? No, $5.60. What am I saying? $5.97. $5.60. Which is a great likes number for the actual live stream, but as you can see, the wheel said 700. So we did not hit the goal tonight, unfortunately, which means Be the Booker will have to be delayed until Monday, perhaps, hopefully. We have failed, just like SmackDown tonight, kind of appropriate. But I think we had more fun here than we did watching SmackDown, which is always the goal. As long as I keep you entertained. Even if it's at my own expense sometimes. Anyway, episode 957 of The Sound Off is coming up on Sunday. Be covering a lot of different things there. Not a lot of hard news, like big news stories this week, but there's a lot of kind of smaller ones and some Hall of Fame stuff I want to delve into. So we'll get into all that and take more mailbag questions. So get those on in. And then the next time I'll be live with you here on the stream will be Monday night. Let's blow it up big. Final Raw for the month of March, and they're in my backyard. They're at the world's most famous arena, Madison Square Garden. So hopefully we'll have a big night on Monday and a better show than they gave us tonight. So be well, stay safe. Have yourselves a great weekend, and I will see you back here very soon for more Sound Off. Until then, take care, guys. Now we got some late super chats coming in here. This is the Winston Slip says, "What has Jericho's career meant to you as a fan?" Wasn't meant to me. Hasn't meant anything to me. I've been entertained by a lot of it. Some of the more recent stuff, not so much. He's had a great career. I think Jericho's actually had one of the more impressive careers and charmed careers that any wrestler has ever had. Because he enjoyed success across multiple promotions, reinvented himself multiple times, has a lot of accomplishments under his name and business accomplishments as well. If you go back even to the Wrestle Kingdom match with Kenny Omega, the stuff with AEW, helping get them off the ground. So it hasn't meant anything to me personally. As a fan, though, I've enjoyed most of his career. That's what I would say. And Luis says, even Miley and Billy Ray reading the script from one of the episodes could not save the special. He is still on the Hannah Montana kick. Oh my goodness. Luis, what are we going to do with you? What are we going to do with you? Anyway, have a good one.
for life.